Hey guys, it's Carl. If you recall, a couple months ago, I checked out the Logitech Mevo cameras. This is essentially a solution for wireless streaming with a multi-camera setup, a couple of these small little cameras. Typically for a multi-cam setup, you need quite a bit of hardware. So for example, we've got a couple Sony cameras. You need to plug those into a PC, run OBS, something like Streamlabs, just to get a multi-cam set up for something like a podcast. Or if you're doing something like one of these YouTube videos where you need multi-cameras, if you're checking out different types of gear. If you're cooking, you want that multi-cam look because I know it's just obviously more engaging. So Logitech actually came out with the new Mevo Go, and essentially what that is, instead of using these little cameras, which you can still use if you already own it, you can run a multi-stream or a multi-camera setup using existing devices. And why I think this is so smart and so handy, obviously, a lot of us probably still have multiple devices kicking around, or we have friends that have them. So for example, my daily, my 14 Pro Max, but I still have my 13 Pro from last year, and even this older iPhone SE with the good old home button on the front, that can all still run the Mevo Go app with, of course, iOS 14. And I think if you're on Android, you need Android 8 or later. So to set this up, I've obviously been planning to do a bit of a podcast myself. We'll get into my podcast section at the end. So if you want to skip till then, I think we'll talk about something cool, like I've been checking out some pretty cool cars lately. We'll skip to that. But in order to set this up hardware-wise, you need your main controller. So I'm rocking the iPad Pro. The first app that you'll need is the Mevo Multicam app, and what you'll need is Mevo Pro, which essentially unlocks Mevo Go. And Mevo Pro is a paid subscription. It's 19 bucks a month. I know that you can get 14 days for free if you want to give it a bit of a trial. I'll leave, of course, a link down below which you can check. But once you have that downloaded, you can now install Mevo Go on all of your existing devices. So like I said, I have them pre-installed on my different iPhones here. And essentially to set that up, you just need to hit Mevo Go, which you can see here. It has this little new icon on it. And from there, you can start launching Mevo Go on each of your devices. And technically all you need is to have the devices connected to the same network, and you could theoretically connect as many devices as you have lying around. So I challenge someone, if you can get more than 10 camera setups or 10 different multi-cams. I don't know what you would be recording that would be that interesting to have that many angles, but I challenge you guys to do that. You can see that I've got 3 different angles here, or 3 different devices, and you can actually share the video and audio of one and the screencast of other devices. So for my little podcast session, if I were to connect this main cam, so I'll just hit continue here. And right off the bat, this is connected automatically. And I've simply just connected all 3 of these devices and my main iPhone 14 Pro Max that's got the main camera on it, which I'll set up in a second, the iPhone SE, which will be the second camera, and the screen capture on my 1-year-old 13 Pro. So we're gonna switch to the podcast section. I'll kind of create a bit of a setup. What I would definitely recommend for mobile use, just having these little mini tripods with the little clamp for a phone are pretty handy so you can articulate it. We'll do some movie magic and be recording straight off the iPhones now. So now we're recording through the Mevo Go app, and you can actually see we'll have a behind the scenes of what this looks like with all the different camera setups. So like I said, we've got phone 1, phone 2, and phone 3, all on different angles, and phone 3 here is actually a bit of a screen recording. And if we chat about a bit of my experience with cars lately, so we're getting into the podcast section here. So I was actually just at an Audi event. We did the winter driving experience out in Mont Tremblant. Right now we'll just switch on over to my screen recording here to kind of show some of the crazy footage that we got from this Audi event. So we were drifting on ice in Montreal, in Mont Tremblant, and you can see here I was in this Audi RS e-tron GT, and this FPV drone was maybe around a foot away from this $200,000 EV, and I was shitting myself because obviously I couldn't see the drone. I barely know what I'm doing trying to drift around, and some of this footage is pretty incredible. And what made this kind of cool, they kind of tailored it to an experience. I'll just switch back now to my face. What made this cool was the entire experience that they had. So we checked into this super nice chalet. It was super modern. They had this really nice 4-meal dinner cooked by this sustainable chef. So the entire experience was super dope. But kind of moving on from that, talking about real talk of actual EVs. So the actual first EV that I think I'm gonna buy, I'm just gonna switch back to the screen recording here. So if we just hop on over to my Instagram, I think you guys know that I've partnered with VinFast for close to a year now, and finally their VF8s are rolling around to the market here in Canada, so I think this will be the first SUV EV that I end up purchasing. I'm kind of torn between the color choice, so I actually did this fun thing at the Canadian Auto Show where I actually got to see some of their cars in flesh. You can see this cool little transition, but I'm kind of talking about the color choice to get. I'll just switch back here. I'm not too sure which color option that I should go for. So I was leaning towards the green. Maybe I just might keep it simple and safe and get the gray. Nick, I'm just gonna switch this camera to you right now. If you had a choice, which would it be?
It's gotta be the green. Gotta be the green. Love the green. The green is just so
It says the green.
Yeah.
So technically, if you can see this right now, this little operator device, if you had someone like Nick on this operator and he could actually switch between all the different camera angles, I think that would be handy. But if you are a one-person crew, you can actually just kind of switch yourself. And last but not least, I'm gonna talk about a car if I wasn't gonna pick up an EV. I'm just gonna pull up here on screen. I'm eyeing this also. There's this used Mercedes wagon. So it's this 2019 C300. So it's actually not available in the US. It's only in Canada. Obviously the Europeans know their wagon game. I am a huge wagon fan, and it's kind of floating around that price. I know that it comes to personal preference, but I have been eyeing wagons forever. I've got a soft spot for them. It's kind of a toss-up between like an SUV, which everyone has, but wagons I think are just so cool. It's like the ultimate dadmobile. Link can be in the back. And yeah, like I said, I just have the biggest soft spot for the wagon game. And I know there are a big cult following out there, but obviously the more popular ones are SUVs. So amongst those two cars, obviously the VinFast, the C300 wagon. Obviously, if I had endless pools of money, I would get the Audi RS e-tron GT 200K. No problem. But yeah, it's been kind of a fun first podcast. Obviously, the multicam setup is fun. Nick, dream car?
Bentley Continental GT in that Bentley blue, dream car.
In the Bentley blue. Let me know your guys' faves down below. And remember, I will leave links for all of the Mevo stuff. If we actually switch out of the Mevo space, we're still recording. You can see this interesting little setup. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Remember, there's a free trial, 14 days for free. It's around 19 bucks US to join the membership. Super, super useful if you've got multiple devices already kicking around. And remember, if you're in the ecosystem and you already have the Mevo cams, you can still sync these all up together. So dope way to have a multi-camera setup. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, and I'll catch you in one of my next ones. And let me know what next podcast episode to do for my next vid. Peace.